Hey Lito Lolo, coming back down to earth here, and Amouranth is one of the biggest female streamers in Twitch history, not only through her streaming career but also through her other financial ventures that she has pursued outside of streaming that has built her a monetary empire. As we can see here, she has accumulated over $50 million in the year of 2023 through her OnlyFans alone. This does not include the amount of money that she makes from streaming, YouTube, or even her multiple businesses that she owns. That is insane. It is fair for me to say that Amouranth is quite possibly the richest woman in streaming history. But there was an incident that had occurred in late 2022 that was actually quite problematic, that had brought a lot of behind the scene issues to the surface that nobody in the public knew about. Now, what was this situation? Well, before I get into that, let's provide some details on who Amouranth is for anybody who doesn't know, and what is her brand that she has been investing in for the last 8 years. So Amouranth, whose real name is Caitlin Saragusa, has made a name for herself in the cosplay community before making her initial big break in the streaming world in 2016, where she would find success almost immediately. I personally remember in 2018 when I first was interested in the Twitch scene. One of the first content creators I became introduced to was actually Amouranth because of her ASMR content. I'm sorry, I yearn for the tingles, I'm sorry. Anyways, something about Amouranth that nobody can take away from her is her hard work and dedication to the craft of streaming. You know, she had set her mind to a goal and she accomplished it. Doesn't matter if she indulged in sexually explicit content, because at the end of the day, nobody grinded as hard as Amouranth did from the years of 2018 to 2022, and that's just facts. I am talking about 12 to 16 hour days for years of just ASMR, hot tub streams, or whatever content that would bring in a viewership she would often pursue, and the numbers really reflected this, even to this day. As we can see from a numerical perspective, that Amouranth is one of the biggest female streamers to ever exist, one of the biggest streamers to ever exist consistently. Now, after the truth was revealed, her hard work ethic can be concluded as a much more sinister reason than the public had initially expected. Now, what is the truth, you might ask? Well, in late 2022 on Amouranth's stream, she exposed the fact that she had a husband and that he was basically controlling her entire life, from her stream schedule to her financial assets.
I've been wanting to tell people that, like, let's just stream together. Just tell them that we're fucking married. Because it's like, our relationship would be better if we just stream them. And it's fighting all the time. But no, mister, don't say that because it's going to ruin the business model. It's not time yet. Fuck yourself.
She was explaining the fact that she wanted to go public with her marriage, but that her husband demanded her not to do so because it would ruin the business that she built, which revolved around her OnlyFans and her streaming career that for the most part consisted of her doing sexually explicit content. Statistically, he wasn't wrong. Normally when a woman in this field reveals that they have a significant other, their numbers usually underperform in comparison to when they didn't. It's the unfortunate reality and the social norms that exist within this field that we seem to have grown accustomed to. This all stemmed from her going live while she was on a phone call with her husband, verbally abusing her to the point it didn't even make sense. The verbal haymakers that this man was throwing resembled that of a person with severe man-baby syndrome. His penis has to be very small or close to non-existent for him to be this angry. Let me fucking tell you, because the gaslighting and nonsense that he was spewing had me lose a couple brain cells. I don't even feel like he had an argument going into the conversation. I feel like he was just mad to be mad. I think what happened was he went to go take a piss and saw that he had a micro and was like, oh, I need to release some inner rage. And then that's when this phone call happened.
Why did you say you were gonna kill dogs?
morning, which is you're interrupting what I'm explaining to you.
No, tell me. That's not acceptable.
Now this conversation, argument, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, goes on for about an hour, where he's just fucking talking about killing her dog, destroying her empire, spending millions of dollars on fucking useless items. You know, every Darth Vader, Thanos, antagonistic evil thing you could say, he probably said it, all in the span of 1 hour, with absolutely no clear reasoning for it at all while Amouranth was crying and, from video evidence, clearly mentally and emotionally abused. Amouranth would then expose her text message conversation with her husband on stream, in which, once again, there was really no reason for his anger. It seemed like he was just mad that, I guess, everything wasn't executed as properly as it should have been, which is clear signs of manipulation, gaslighting. He was threatening her, fucking abusing her mentally and emotionally, everything all evident within these texts. She would also show signs of him physically causing damage to the house, you know, like throwing household objects at the wall and even kicking down doors, because I don't fucking know, he was RPing as Colin Farrell from SWAT. Now, the whole streaming community became aware of this unfortunate situation that Amouranth had been enduring for the last several years, where, from what we can gather, was basically a controlling and manipulative relationship where she was forced to perform sexually explicit content against her will in order to make money. Everybody, including me at the time, were all behind her. We were all like a metaphorical army that just wanted justice to be served to the evil forces that sit between Amouranth and her freedom. Now, at some point, Amouranth did receive this freedom, where she seemed hopeful for the future. You know, she was also wearing a long sleeve sweatshirt covering up her cleavage, kind of symbolizing change and a new era of her career, which at the time was pretty fucking monumental. I was excited for the future. I saw this clip and I was like, oh my, like we're gonna see a new Amouranth now. She is going to be, you know, doing the types of content that she wants to do. Horseback riding, she was talking about. Maybe she could pursue more IRL streams with friends and things of that sort.
Just really excited to get back to the type of content in life that I want.
And just like that, the movie ends and the credit rolls and everybody in the auditorium stands up and claps and fucking gives it 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. But just like all movies, there still lives life behind that screen and the hour and 54-minute duration runtime, you know, because life isn't all sunshine and rainbows. At the end of Elf, what do you think Buddy was doing after Christmas time? You know, what about springtime? What about summertime? You know, he definitely garnered an addiction to crack cocaine. And with Amouranth, it was the same thing, just without the crack cocaine part. Because after this entire debacle, Amouranth took a break from streaming, which was well deserved. But when she returned, she went back to doing the same exact thing. Like, what the fuck? Did our love and support mean nothing to you, Amouranth? And the crazy part about all of this is the fact that this incident was never spoken about again. It's like it never existed. It's like she gaslit the world and had us trapped in this Mandela effect because she just went back to her regularly scheduled programming. And that was the end of it. Now, what happened? Well, there are people that have speculated, even during this time when these sequence of events have unfolded, that she did this in order to scam her audience, because everybody loves a good hero story and everybody wants to save the damsel in distress, and in this case, save her with more dollar bills. Now, this is merely speculation and we do not know and might never know the true story behind the Amouranth situation. So from here on out, I'll provide you some loopholes in her statements and assumptions to what people quite possibly believe happened. So first of all, her husband calling her on stream. Now, for a man who apparently was very controlling, should have known at some point she was live through some sort of Twitch notification or something, especially if he was somebody who apparently had total control over what she did on stream, her schedule, her finances, and basically her whole life. It's just hard for me to believe that an hour-long conversation went on of him threatening her without him knowing that he was on stream. You know, and to top that off, he continued to leave incriminating threats towards her through text. Why leave that evidence? Why? Second of all, how did he have total control over her finances? How does that even happen? How is he able to threaten her to the point of spending millions of dollars in a snap of a finger just because she didn't respond in seconds? That doesn't even seem to be financially competent, especially for somebody who wants, her to build a financial empire and, conversions and things of that sort. It'd be dumb for him to even make a threat like that. Now, on the contrary, I'm going to side with Amouranth here. If anybody who has been in an abusive relationship or knows somebody who's currently or has been in one, this is actually a pretty accurate depiction of domestic abuse. There is a victim who always caters to the abuser, and there is this endless void that feels inescapable for them. They feel stuck, they feel powerless. It's not easy for them just to leave. There is a psychological torment that lingers. If anybody knows what battered woman syndrome is, I suggest you should look it up to see how bad these things can get. And the more you open doors for the abuser to abuse you, the more irrational the abuse becomes, which I think is what could have happened here, where she was mentally and emotionally abused to the extent where she kind of, was just allowing it to happen because she felt like there was nothing else she could do. It caused him to start getting comfortable with it and, instilling it in some sort of routine. Whenever he felt small or marginalized, he would project his anger onto her. And, the more comfortable he got, the more irrational it became. It's also quite possible that the reason he didn't know that she was streaming or wasn't very calculated was because, one, he was emotionally charged, and two, after following this routine for years, it seemed, and her never exposing their conversations, he probably came to the conclusion that she didn't have the capacity to do so until she did. Also, the reason he probably had control over her finances, that's easy. They were married. It's quite possible that he could have been her accountant, or that he just had initial control over her finances early in the relationship before she blew up to become the Amouranth that we know today. So is it possible that she scammed her audience? Yes, there's certainly a motive there, which is financial gain. Controversy, just like sex, sells. Especially when you're on the winning side, that's more zeros for your bank account. But there are also alternatives that could have happened here, and some context can be given within these tweets from Amouranth after negative reception had accumulated when she returned back to her Coomer content. In these tweets, she emphasized that she has employees and a business to run, and it is not easy to switch her entire business model overnight. Now, the reason I find these tweets essential is because it clearly indicates that Amouranth is a prisoner in this field of work because of the fact that it generates so much revenue. Why would she change her business model, especially if she has a numerous amount of employees that rely on her to provide them a salary or wage? This isn't about morals or ethics at this point. This is about what can I do that can accumulate the most money so I can continue to keep these businesses intact. At this point, she had already been conditioned to doing this type of content, and to top that off, it's made her millions and continues to do so. So why change that? She has taken advantage of this financial opportunity that exists within the society that we live in. If she does any other type of content, she will not be making close to what she is making now, and that's just facts. At this point, it isn't about her, and I think she knows that. I think she acknowledges that, which actually makes me sympathize for her if that is the case, because she's stuck in this cyclical program where it seems as though she compartmentalizes herself every time she performs this type of content. Just look at her soulless eyes. To end this off, we might never really know the truth. Did Amouranth scam her audience, or is she a victim of a much more sinister demise? Regardless, she's rich as fuck. Anyways, that's all from me. I'm off to another dimension. See ya.